Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the page, be sure to give us a like and a sub so you're not missing any of the content we have coming out. And today we're going to be diving into Dark Knight's Death Metal, Multiverses End. This is a one-shot coming from DC Comics. Now if you guys haven't been following everything death metal related, I'll leave a link in the description and at the top of this video so you guys can check that out, get all caught up, find out exactly what's going on in this event, because it really has been, it's been really fun and also really ridiculous at the same time. You know, there's a lot of really unusual characters that we're seeing in here. You know, some of them we want to explore, others are kind of written in there to be ridiculous in itself, and we're going to see that in this issue as well. Now this is really taking us to what the rest of our heroes are doing while our big three are handling everything that happened within Trinity Crisis. And that's another death metal tie-in that you guys can check out on my page. And so without further ado, let's dive into this issue. So getting into this issue, we're met with Owlman, and he has John Stewart, our Green Lantern, locked up. And they're on Earth 3. Now, Earth 3 is run by the crime syndicate. You know, it's always been that way. It's just one of those planets that's overrun by the criminals or the evildoers. And we have a really interesting conversation that goes on here. And the conversation that's had is really Owlman telling him that you guys have lost. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what you guys are trying to plan. We understand that you guys are trying to take out the tuning forks, as they call them. And they're planted on the remaining multiverses. And so we have Earth 3, you know, we have Earth 10, which is the Nazis, Earth 29, which is Bizarro, Earth 43, which is our vampire world, and Earth 50, which is Ultraman and Superwoman. Now, Perpetua has left these ones specifically for last because they're already inherently evil. And so she can use these, and with the tuning forks, they capture psychic energy of people gathered from Earth 0. And what Owlman's really telling him is that you guys have lost. All of this is for naught. Like, you guys aren't going to win this no matter what you do. We have the upper hand here in every way, shape, and form. And this is where he pulls out an antimatter gun. And it shoots the yellow bullets that'll tear through a Green Lantern. And he's pretty much saying, like, if I kill you right now, Perpetua will win. The multiverse as we know it will end, and it'll be reborn in whatever image she wants. But this is where Owlman kind of has trouble with that. He doesn't really like the idea of that. Because he has the idea in his head, a sneaky suspicion, if you will, that if Perpetua wins, they all lose. Like, he's not stupid in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, like, this is the original dark version of Batman, you know? So he's not a dumb individual in the least, so he understands exactly what's happening here. And he's even willing to help out the heroes. But it has nothing to do with wanting to save the world or save people or anything of that nature. This is a personal matter to him. Because Owlman is supposed to be the darkest reflection of Batman in the multiverse. Not the Joker who laughs, or the Batman who laughs. You know, not that thing, as Owlman calls him. And so pretty much, like, Owlman's proposing a team up. And he's booby-trapped every single one of these towers. Long before, like weeks ago prior to this, he saw all of this coming, and he made his own contingency. Now, perking up on Earth X, we have Gardner. Not only do we have him, but we also have Captain Rabbit. And it's always fun to see him in here. You know, they're from the Zoo Crew. And they get introduced every now and then, you know, especially when it's a universal crisis like this. You know, we're going to see a bunch of random people like this, and it's always nice to see them reintroduced. You know, Captain Rabbit's really an awesome character, you know, no matter how silly and kind of ridiculous he is. And so they're on this planet trying to fight off all these Nazis the best they can, because their job is to take out the tower on this planet. And so seemingly we have all of our earthbound lanterns going to these different Earths and trying to be able to do what they can to take out the anti-heroes that are there or the villains that are in those worlds and be able to take out these towers. And they need to do it almost simultaneously. And what's really awesome here is we get Kyle Rayner. And Kyle Rayner is literally creating a sun on the Earth of the vampires. And this is his way of dealing pretty much with every vampire on this planet. But the one they're not able to get a hold of is John. And this is where we cut back over to Owlman. And he's talking about the scenarios playing out. And he says pretty much like, my stipulations are, before I help you guys out, I need to know everything that happened from the very beginning. And this is where John starts to dive into the story of Perpetua. Stuff that we already know. The source sent Perpetua to take the raw materials of the universe and build a functioning multiverse. And this is where she created her children, the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and the World Forger. And when she was done creating this universe, she was supposed to die off, and her energy was supposed to return to the source. She refused, and her children betrayed her. And the source sent a barrier of sorts, and they trapped her in the source wall. And with that, an infinite multiverse was born, containing infinite worlds with infinite possibilities. Each of these universes shared a single barrier in the source wall. And so Perpetua was forced to watch as this multiverse just grew and grew and grew and expanded. And the thing that helped her get free were the crisis events. With every crisis event, there was a crack in the source wall. And so, Perpetua orchestrated, she whispered in the minds of the Anti-Monitor to create the path that he eventually went on to create the crisis events. So essentially we're saying that, Perpetua is the one who initiated every crisis event, let it unfold, that way she could break out of the source wall. Now, picking up back on Earth X, Captain Rabbit gives us a little bit of backstory on what happened to his world, and pretty much everybody was wiped out, and they were barely able to get away. The House of Heroes, some of them helped him get out of there, and all they could do is just jump from world to world, trying to save as little people as they could, because they just couldn't carry that many people out of there at how fast they were having to move, as fast as Perpetua was taking out multiverses. That wasn't until the Green Lantern showed up and were able to help him out in some manner. But so much damage has already been done at this point. Like, there's a whole zoo crew is at this point assuming that they're all gone. They've all been taken out by Perpetua. And this is when Perpetua is seen in the sky over Earth X. And she sends in the evil clone baby Batman along with the Rainbow Batman Corps. And this is what I meant when I said it gets kind of ridiculous. Because I've never really been a fan of this clone baby Batman thing. Like, there's so many Batman that they currently have with the death metal run. Adding something like this in, having it in there, it's just completely pointless to me. Now, picking up with John Stewart again, and he's completing the story that he was telling to Owlman. And he lets him know, like, all the events, Parallax, Darkseid, Barbados, all of these things cracked the source wall. And eventually, Perpetua was able to escape. And he pretty much says, that the short version is, there was Totality, the Seven Forces, and the Legion of Doom. Like, you get the gist for the most part. And the trick with Element X is probably why him and the rest of the crime syndicate are still alive. He lets him know, like, you were killed along with the rest of the crime syndicate a while back on his world. They'd invaded after Earth 3 had been destroyed, but every time the universe breaks, it heals its wounds. And so this is where Owlman finds out he's not the original Owlman. That in fact he's a reincarnation of sorts. And we pick back up with our fight on Earth X, and we have the Batman Lantern Corps just really taking out most of our heroes, and they're subduing them, getting them under restraints. It seems to be that they're losing this fight. And so the only real chance they have is Owlman. And so we pick back up with him, and John Stewart gives him enough information from the Harbinger to have him understand that this is actually true. And this is where he learns about his predecessors, each of the three Owlmen before him. And then he just starts laughing hysterically. And John Stewart doesn't really understand why. But this is where Owlman explains himself and pretty much says, that he exists in every iteration of the multiverse, no matter what. If the multiverse survives, that means that he survives. There's always going to be the reverse of Batman. And so as long as Batman stays alive, he also can stay alive. And this is where he pretty much teleports to the battle taking place, and he turns on all the bad guys. And this is where John Stewart lets the other heroes know, like, they have to get away from those towers. Like, everything needs to get evacuated now because it's about to blow. And this is where we see Owlman take the baby clone Batman, smash him up against the tower, and he's really just killing himself along with all these other Batman, because he knows no matter what, he's going to come back. As long as the heroes win, he has a chance of being reincarnated, essentially. And so with that, all the towers are taken out, and Perpetua has taken a heavy blow. Now, back on the bleed on the carrier, our Green Lantern humans are coming together, and they're really just assessing the situation, finding out exactly what they need to do and which direction they need to head now. At this point, it's left up to the rest of the heroes. This was their part of it. But as we saw in Trinity Crisis, we can only assume that our Green Lanterns are going to be needed here soon. And that will be the end of this issue. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like I said, there was that little bit of ridiculousness with the clone baby Batman. I'm not a huge fan of that. Outside of that, I think it was a really great issue. We got Guy Gardner, we got Kyle Rayner, we got John Stewart. We got all of our Green Lanterns, we got Jessica Cruz, we got, all of them are in here. So it's really fun to see all of these guys, all our Lanterns, really coming together and being able to work on not only multiple universes, but as a cohesive team. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you haven't yet, be sure to like and subscribe to the page. And until the next video.